This video is finding vertex form equations from a table. So similar to vertex form from a graph, we are going to be writing our equation in this form. But this time we have a table instead of a graph. So just like before, since it is vertex form, let's go ahead and find our vertex, which isn't always obvious in our picture. So here's how you figure it out. You're looking for a pattern in your y values. So for instance, here from 3 to 0 is decreasing, subtracting. 0 to -1 is decreasing, subtracting. -1 to 0 is adding or getting greater. So that change from negative to positive, or from subtracting to adding, that indicates a turning point in our equation. And we know from our notes from Tuesday that a turning point and vertex also mean the same thing. So that number there is, or that point there, is our vertex. -4, -1. We're also going to pick a point that we're going to substitute in, and you can pick any point you want. I'm going to choose 0, 3 in this case. Let's go ahead and substitute in our values. We know that HK represents our vertex, and we also know that the point that we're going to sub in is where x and f of x are going to come from in this case. So let's go ahead and try it. We've got, I'm going to write just the vertex first. F of x equals a times x. Now here's the tricky part. The equation says minus h, but we're subtracting a negative number. So this actually becomes a 4 in that sense. So again, if we would have x minus a -4, that would be the same thing as x plus 4, which is why we see that there. So that's where our vertex ended up, was here. Oop, not in blue, I want it in pink. Here and here. That was our vertex. Now our sub-in point, we're going to put it in for x and f of x. So now our f of x value, which is y, is 3 equals a times 0 plus 4 squared minus 1. So the reason, again, why we're doing this is because we're trying to figure out what our constant value is of a, and in order to do that, we're just going to solve for a. So from here, I'm going to use order of operations and determine that the erasers, reset really quick, determine that 0, this section here, 0 plus 4 is 4, squared is 16, so I have 16a here, minus 1. I add 1 to both sides to continue to solve my equation, and I end up with 4 equals 16a. I divide by 16 on both sides, since that's what's with a, and when I simplify the fraction 4 over 16, I end up with 1/4, okay? So now I have my a value and my vertex, so let's substitute that back into our equation to write our vertex form equation. So our final answer would be f of x equals 1/4 times x plus 4 squared minus 1. That equation right there is what represents this table.